Okay, going to do a little bit of a lesson on the buoyancy effector. Let's see. The idea here is I'm actually going to use this. This is part of my other series where I'm sort of doing a back to basics with the particle, or excuse me, back to basics with a tile map, kind of a platformer here. So you can go over to YouTube, or if you're seeing this on YouTube, then maybe you've seen the other ones. But we're setting up this so far. So we have this little character, and the character has a basic character controller on it, so we can kind of jump around. And whoops, this really strong jumping kind of has me thinking, well, maybe it would be something. We could do something cool with instead of being able to having to jump up there. Maybe we could do some kind of thing that you have to. If you fall down, you need to be able to trigger something that's going to give you some kind of. We're going to have something that blasts air up here or something like that to kind of push the character back up. So, all right, what are we going to do? All right, we're going to create a. First out, what I'll do is I'll create the effector and the effect that I want to have here. So I'm going to create a effect, which is going to be a particle system. And the particle system, I want to put at the location that I'm interested in. So I'm going to put it right down here, more or less on this block right here. So that's going to be where I want to put this thing. And let me tune this particle system up just a little bit. So the particle system is throwing particles up there, and the rate and all that's fine. It's really just the shape that I want to affect here, that I want to tweak. I'm going to give it a really kind of a tight angle and a much smaller radius. Okay. Maybe 0.25, something like that. So it's really, I want it to seem like it's really coming out of that block right there. Okay, so that's the effect to kind of let us know. And then in the game, the idea will be that, okay, if the player somehow goes in that block there, we want to push the player back up with some kind of jet stream here. So this is a perfect opportunity to use what is called a buoyancy effector. So sometimes you use this like if you have an area that might be water or something like that, and you want to put create a buoyant area where the player can kind of bob around and things like that. But let's put it here. So let's add a component. Now first, let's see, we'll add the buoyancy effector itself, but you'll notice it's going to complain. It's going to say the effector will not function until there's at least one 2D collider. So let's add a 2D collider, and we're going to add a box collider to that. So box collider 2D right there. All right, and let's edit that collider. And let's see here. So, well, that's a oddly shaped collider. What happened here? Let's see. Offset. Oh, let's put this thing at a more reasonable position. Oh, that position was okay. It was really just. That's fine. It's the box collider. It's like really oddly shaped. So, kind of squished here. So let's say the offset is 0, 0, and the size should be 5, 5. And oh, I know what it is. Is it because the particle system is rotated? That must be. This is kind of a weird situation here. Yeah, but that's the case. So if we rotate this thing, yeah, the box collider is rotating. All right. Here's what we're going to have to do. So I am going to create an empty and make that a child of this particle system. Maybe the other way around. I'm going to make a particle system that is a child of that game object. All right, so the game object now, on the particle system, we will how should we do this? All right, let's get rid of this particle system. Delete, 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 delete. deleted particles. We have this game object. The game object is going to be where? The game object is going to be at that location. So let's move it up, move it over. All right. And let's add a component, which is Box Collider 2D. All right, easy enough. That's easier. And I'm going to make it larger now because the effector is really going to be this whole area. This is where it's going to have that floating effect here. So we'll put the Box Collider right there. And we are going to put it on the water layer, because why not? We'll call it water. So there's a Box Collider, and it is going to be used by effector is trigger. We don't want it to be a collider. We want it to be a trigger. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to add the buoyancy effector to D. So now if our player moves in here, you'll see, let's see, hopefully we'll see, you're going to drop down in here, and nothing really happens. All right. So let's go here, and let's set some things up. So the collider mask is everything. So anything that goes into there should trigger it and cause some buoyancy. Now, we're going to put the surface level right at the top. Right, this thing is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units tall. So let's make the surface level at the top here and increase the density. Okay, now you'll see the moment I increase the density, my character started floating. Okay, because it's all dependent on the mass of the player, or the mass of the thing in there. It's going to affect how fast it floats. So the denser the field here, the quickly you're going to float. So let's make it fairly dense, maybe 10. And now, what happened here? Oh, let's see. What did I? Oh, yeah, the surface level. So here, surface level should have been 5, and the density is 10. So now what happens? Whoop. Okay, we actually shot out the top. All right, density is almost too high here. Let's set the density to 5. There we go. That's a pretty good density. So let's go back and stop and make sure we change this to 5. And now let's try it. So you can see, when he gets into that area there, he starts to float, and he can always move his way outside. Now, the cool thing about using this particular effector in this application is because the jumping nature of my character here is governed by by gravity. It's I don't have to mess with the interface too much. The left and right motion of my character is really controlled by setting the velocity specifically, which makes it a little bit trickier to have it interact with effectors. So that's why I like using this sort of effector with this one. Right, because it's really just a gravity-based effect, and gravity works normally for our little character here. But it is kind of weird at the moment that that's just doing its thing. So let's go ahead and add a component, and we're going to add a particle system. Whoops, and we're going to get out of play mode. We're going to go ahead and add a particle system. And the first thing we want to do is go to the particle system and give it a decent renderer. So go to the renderer, and material we're going to set to, let's see, default particle system, or default particle. There we go, default particle. That's more like it. And let's tweak the shape of the particle system. We want it to be a fairly tight cone, and we want the cone facing up. Right, so we're going to rotate it -90 in the X direction here, so it's kind of in the plane that we're looking at. And let's tighten it up a little bit more. So the radius should be 0.3. Okay, so now it looks like it's coming from that spot there. It looks a little too fast for me here, so I'm going to say start speed is going to be 2. Okay, and let's see, start size, let's make it smaller, 0.5. Okay, now if we had bubbles, wouldn't that be cool? Well, we'll save that for another day. So now in the game, if I come over here, I can see that it kind of makes sense in there. We have this kind of bubbling stream here. I like that. I like the look of that. And now a question is, okay, I should make it tricky. I shouldn't just like have it there all the time. So let's go ahead and we'll make some kind of switch that you have to be clever enough to find and turn on. It'd be pretty obvious, I guess. So let's put a coin, and so we'll do this. We will find let's see, there's a coin animation here in our asset pack. And I'm going to take that coin and let's see, it's 128 and it's going to be multiple. We'll say apply, sprite editor, and we'll ask it to automatically slice. That's good. Slice, apply. We're going to wind up with lots of, even the thin ones here. Good, good, good. So we have this all sliced up. Now, if we want to create a animated thingamabob, we're just going to grab this bunch of coins here, select them all. Whoops, not caps lock. Select them all. And I'm going to drag it into my scene and put it there for now. And now we're going to say assets, animations, and this is going to be coin. Coin animation. All right. So in the game now, that thing should hopefully, that's a spinning coin. Easy enough. Let's put it in a better spot. Let's put our spinning coin down here. And let's make it something, it has to be collected by the player. Okay, so to get this thing, so what we'll do, we have our potential game object up here, and we'll call this the fountain. Fountain. Okay. And what I'm going to do with the fountain is I'm going to turn off its, actually not turn off its box collider. I'm going to turn off its buoyancy effector, and I'm going to turn off the looping on the particle system. And let's see. So let's play on awake. Okay, that's what I really want to do. I do want it to loop. I just didn't want it to play on awake. So say play. That's the right thing. Stop. All right, good. So it's not playing on awake. It's more like a sound now. So it's doing its thing. And the buoyancy effector is turned off. So the game starts. Our character is just doing his thing. Totally unaffected by that. Runs over here. We want to collect that coin. Don't do that yet. All right, so we need to collect that coin. So the coin, we can either put the collision on the player or the coin. So let's put it on here. So we'll call this fountain trigger. Fountain trigger. All right. And its layer is default. Okay. And the trigger is going to need, it's going to need a collider. And it's going to be a box collider. And the box collider is going to be a trigger. Let's see. Looks good enough. Okay. And let's see. So I'm going to take it, let's see, further here. Whoops, we get down there. Come over here. Nothing triggers yet. All right. I'm going to save that for the next video. We're going to set up the trigger for that and then get that effector going.